Hello, friends. Good morning and welcome to Love Wrestling Sunday Brunch. Spencer Love here with the rest of the Love Wrestling crew. A good deal of the Love Wrestling crew, some regulars, some returning guests, and of course, some friends in the chat. It is good to see all of you guys this morning. It is good to see friends like Sandy back in. Good morning, good evening, I suppose, for you, Sandy, tuning in from Germany as per usual. And JJ, good to see you as well, as per usual, here for a loose chat about pro wrestling this morning, of the last week, of the upcoming week, anything in between, and of course, whatever you guys would like to chat about today. However, of course, we can't start chatting pro wrestling without at least finding out how people are doing. Canadian Goose, how are you doing, man? It's good to see you.
I'm all right, bud. How are you?
I'm good. I'm a little sore after taking a few losses in Among Us and Jackbox last night, but we'll call her square. It's okay. I can't complain. It was a good time.
The Jackbox gimmick didn't really work properly.
Technical times, I believe they call it in the industry, but we'll get there. Sooner rather than later, we'll get there. Of course, we are expanding on the video game end of things. If you guys would like to get in on that action every Saturday night, we've got Blowing Off Stream as created by the gentleman right below me, the one of two gentlemen in Bullet Club shirts this morning. Mighty Joe, how are you doing? It's been a few hours. What's changed in the little bit that it's been since I've seen you?
I'm a little bit more well-rested and a beverage of some sort, and just here to talk some wrestling. And like I said before we got started, I saw Mr. J with the Bullet Club shirt. I had to throw on to represent, Bullet Club for life, always. So it's just excited to be here. Sunday morning brunch is like a staple on Love Wrestling now, and I look forward to it every single week.
Absolutely. And Sandy as well, hopping in, my favorite Sunday wrestling live stream. That means a lot. There's a lot of great wrestling programming out there, whether Sunday or otherwise. So for everybody tuning in this morning, once again, thank you, whether it's on Twitch, Facebook Live, or YouTube. It is always appreciated. If you guys have topics, if you have questions, you have comments, you have concerns, you're outing yourself as being the winner of last night's streams and gaming endeavors like Smart Mouth is, you jerk. Feel free to hop in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on. Yeah, you betcha, my friend. Whipping us all last night. I'll admit I took a couple of hard losses last night, but it is what it is. Feel free, of course, to say hello. JJ hopping in as well, giving the too sweet to the two friends in the bottom. I think it's only appropriate then to say hello to Mr. J. How are you doing, friend?
Contractually obligated as usual, but other than that, pretty good. Pretty darn good.
It's a good night. You and I are going to be back on here a little later on tonight, chatting all things Impact Rebellion. I am excited. I'm sure we'll talk about it a little bit throughout this morning's Sunday brunch. I'm excited as all hell. It's going to be a hell of a show. There are a couple of things that I'm sure you and I will get into, whether tonight, this morning, or otherwise, as far as the build to it's gone, but we'll save that for later. We've got to say hello to good friend Chris Parrish. Parrish, how you doing, man?
Today, I am now referred to as El Parisho.
El Parisho. All right. Yeah. Well, I am just going to completely disregard that. Hello, Chris.
Well, you know what? I was going to disregard you saying you took a L because technically no one won in Jackbox. But you know what? You did lose.
Throw it out there. It's fine. I'm man enough to admit when I've taken a loss.
No, I mean, technically Zach had a chance to win it. But because there was no winner of the game, there can't be any losers. So Zach really failed the most.
As long as we all tried our best and had fun, that is what really matters. At the end of the day,
that was cool.
Finally,
I did pretty good too, by the way.
You did pretty well. Superman does good. Brian hopping in the chat. Hey guys, thanks again for doing these shows. No, seriously, thank you guys for tuning in. As usual, it is Sunday brunch. We are here to talk all things professional wrestling. I didn't come into this with any sort of particular topic. So if anybody's got one in the chat or otherwise, feel free to throw it out there.
One thing I'm going to say, Joe and I did not mention this segment on SmackDown. We can talk about it, but it is the TV return of one Aleister Black. What are people's thoughts to that one?
Good place to start. I'll pick it up if that's cool with you. I loved it, to be honest. It's aligned with his old character, but I think it's interesting new direction. That's cliche as all hell to say, but like I liked how he's sort of tying the stories into it. I like how rather than the last time we saw him debut, he came in and he was doing the pick a fight with me gimmick in the backstage area, which he's a great promo, but maybe that didn't particularly click for me. This was really, really cool. He sort of was telling almost like Bray Wyatt-esque, where he's bringing children's stories and sort of the supernatural and intertwining the two together. I really, really loved it. I'm excited as all hell. Like, I think every week that we do this, when we're talking about dream matches, whether we're talking about people who should have been on WrestleMania, any of the other topics that we've had in the last little bit, Aleister Black's name appears every single time. So it's great he's on TV. Do you want to pick up from there, Parrish? You brought the topic up.
Yeah, I just thought, like, the one thing I am tired with Aleister Black, but this time it is warranted, is the fact that it always seems that they're trying to reintroduce him. So, like, it almost seems like when he's in the ring for the first time again after these vignettes, it's just going to be those, like, easy kind of squash match type victories instead of those real, like, hard-fought battles that we want to see him in. So that's going to be the kind of the part I don't like. But with that being said, I do like there's more investment in him and his story and more character investment to where, you know, as a fan, we want to give a shit about him, which is a good thing because he is a good pro wrestler. We want to see him do more. So this is a good step in that new direction for him, I do believe.
I'll let someone else pick up there because I don't agree that he's going to get like the proverbial. He'll get some squash matches right off the bat, but I don't know if they're going to be bringing, you know, your jobbers in or your one-time talents. I think he's going to kick right off with right on the lower card. You know, like just it's. I always hate putting people on the lower card, but like you look at guys like Otis or Gable or people who have traditionally been in tag teams over the last little bit. Aleister Black coming out and beating guys like that who have some name recognition with WWE fans right now, I think that's a way bigger deal.
Well, I'll field this one. I do agree with Parrish that you don't need to constantly repackage somebody when it's not necessary. Like, I mean, you already have a winning formula with him. I mean, you had Aleister Black in NXT, you know, coming out to the badass music and propping him up like that. I mean, you had a winning formula. I don't know why they feel the need to constantly repackage them because, I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's a line I always use.
So help me if they use that piece of music that they used for 2 or 3 weeks near the end of his run, quote unquote, or when he was taken off TV in October. Like, I will be so upset. So upset. I don't know if he's going to play babyface or heel because he's got that sort of gimmick where it can sort of I hate that cliche of like shades of gray character, but like even with this, he can really play both ends of it. I think I really do.
And the other thing too, I was genuinely surprised that he was even still with the company because to the best of my knowledge, like they were looking like even when you look at his Wikipedia profile, it says that Aleister Black was a WWE superstar. It doesn't say that he is currently signed. So I think that is interesting, but I mean, it is Wikipedia. So
I was gonna say I could go through while we're on this stream and edit that back.
He
right?
was an NXT superstar. He now is a WWE
I'm
superstar.
They word it was.
I know.
WWE superstar.
I'm just being a smartass.
Goose, your thoughts on Aleister Black being back?
I honestly didn't see it, but I do have a lot of love for Aleister Black. I really think he's fantastic. I like you guys say, they've started and stopped with him a bunch of times, which I think is kind of weird because he did have like a fantastic run in NXT, and it just baffles me why they didn't carry that on when he went to the main roster. Like, was he injured or was just like Vince McMahon doesn't think he's very good? Like, what's the deal?
I really don't know. I really don't know. Like there's all sorts of speculation that it had to do with Zelina Vega. Obviously, none of that can be confirmed.
What is his relationship with Zelina Vega?
They're married. So I can't speak to any of that, nor do I want to. Like
they do taxes together.
Yeah, they file their taxes. Even on that end, like
I could have swore that he was involved with what's her name, Isla Dawn.
You would be incorrect. I don't know if they were previously, but right now they are not. or there's a scandal. But again, I don't ever.
That would really
I don't
mess
like-
up the taxes.
Oh, might Joe know something about this?
Well, a couple things for clarification. It has been updated. They said he is currently signed to WWE. I mean, just as of a couple days ago, it was worded differently. So, but again, Wikipedia. So take it with a grain of salt. Anybody can literally go and edit there. They have to fact check that.
Well,
It's like a modern
here's
day cage match.
Well,
And
here's
also-
here's a scoop for you, Joe. I can independently confirm that Aleister Black is currently signed to WWE.
Here we go.
Yeah.
And the other
That
thing,
is a Love Wrestling exclusive. By the
There
way.
you are.
In my
Yeah,
expert
eat
opinion,
your heart
he is
out,
signed to the
everyone else.
WWE brand.
well, the other thing.
Thank
is
you.
we were
As
talking about-
as confirmed by Chris Parrish, we can confirm that Aleister Black is signed by the WWE.
the other thing too to take into account with this, because we had mentioned the Vince McMahon factor, which I mean always comes into play when it comes to pushing these talents. When you actually look at the information on him, one thing that is very, very surprising about Aleister Black, if you're not aware, dude is technically a cruiserweight. He's only 10 pounds above that cruiserweight weight cutoff. So the way that they shoot him makes him look very big and larger than life. But when you actually look at his actual weight, I mean, dude's just a nudge over a cruiserweight. So maybe
Get
Vince
that ass. I don't buy.
I would have believed you if you told me he was a cruiserweight just because
You
of
know
like
what?
the way he wrestles, his style.
Well,
but I don't hold
I don't
that
ever-
against anyone. I think
One of the
there's
reasons
fantastic
why-
cruiserweights.
one of the
No
reasons
should
why-
ever hold that against
one
anyone.
of the reasons why they didn't bring in Christopher Daniels in to be that exalted one, however they worded him, is because Vince looked at Christopher and said he's too small. Vince
Joe,
is
that was
the big guy.
1999.
But he's still the same way, Spencer.
Joe, have
No, he's
you
not.
met? And here's
Rey
here's the
Mysterio
thing.
won the world title since
That's
then.
Yeah,
exactly
he's
it. And like,
he's
here's
an
the
exception.
thing.
He's an
Okay,
exception.
so I can't claim
He's an exception.
here to know.
Shawn Michaels is
I-
heavyweight champion.
Exactly. Like I can't sit here and claim to know Vincent Kennedy, but like, come on, this whole like, oh, Vince.
I'm pretty sure they
it's
didn't
only Vince's
Christopher
narrative.
Daniels,
Like,
the exalted one in 1999, because in 1999 nobody knew who the fuck Christopher Daniels
It was the original
Ah.
plan. It was the original.
it
plan.
was the original plan. Yeah, that's been confirmed. But like,
Yep.
I just don't buy that. I really don't. Like, it's 1999. It's 20 years. It's
I will-
22 years ago, and I just can't help but think. In a specific instance, okay, maybe he looks at Aleister Black, but by the same sort of way that he's rumored to have looked at Kevin Owens, or he's rumored to have looked at all of the big dudes in WWE last year, Keith Lee inexplicably included, and said, go train. Vince can 100% be wrong, but I don't buy into this. Vince has only one mentality, and that's why Aleister Black's failed. Like, he's brought
Well, there's
back.
other factors.
He's
There's other
back,
factors,
right? Like,
definitely. Yeah.
I'm just excited as all hell. Before we keep going on the topic, because I love talking Aleister Black, let's give some shouts, including, of course, to the marketing director of the Love Wrestling Sunday Brunch and otherwise, Mrs. Maniac. The Brunch Bunch is ready at the Maniac House, of course, with
Is
their
that
lovely
Maniac's,
Sunday
like
brunch.
actual wife.
Yeah, Siobhan, wonderful,
Oh, okay.
wonderful individual.
I don't think I've ever met her.
She's the first lady of Tag Struggle. Watch your mouth, Goose.
Well, and
I wasn't
Maniac
going-
hopping in here later. Aleister Black getting the Tag Struggle treatment. I like it.
Okay.
That's just a good one. Breaking news on our end. Yes, Aleister Black
even know
is
what
signed.
that
We can
means.
confirm that. Spencer Scoops. Yes, I will also give the shout there to Chris Parrish, my co-host on the POS show. Of course, reconfirming the rumor that Aleister Black was signed to WWE.
That's my expert opinion.
JJ hopping in there. Don't give them ideas. Black on 205 is a slap in the face. The only reason I agree there, JJ, is because not enough people watch 205.
Yeah.
I think there's still like it's a cliche to say by this point, but like they're still putting on some fantastic wrestling programming, some fantastic matches, but not enough people watch it. And when it comes to Aleister Black, especially in my eyes, as many people should see that guy as possible. Vince McMahon making his brunch debut. Yeah, we've actually got a puppet on order. So
That is
hopefully
such good shit.
Yeah, it would be.
Of course, we are
I
talking.
had to.
Of
I
course,
just wanted
it's-
to add too that even though no one knew who Christopher Daniels was in 1999, I think Christopher Daniels versus Stone Cold Steve Austin would have been awesome.
Let's clarify that people inside of the WWE bubble didn't know who Christopher Daniels. Outside of the WWE bubble, people were very well aware of Christopher Daniels.
Hey, nice. Do you guys want to become famous? Buy followers and viewers on bigfollows.com.
I do. You should.
Nice.
We should
All
click
right,
that link.
We're already famous. We don't need to do that.
There's a
No,
reason
not
why I
quite,
put on a
that's
lot of
why.
makeup and walk the streets of St. Albert at 2 a.m. I
That's
want to be.
I think it's time to ban Chris to the corner there.
yeah. I don't think that's got anything. I don't think that's got anything to do with fame. Nothing to do with fame. El Parashow's taking
Good call.
taking a wee little seat.
15 cheeseburgers, get a free T-shirt.
I didn't get kicked for
Man's
calling
gotta
me
eat,
out for
right?
cruiserweight. Nothing. I didn't get kicked for that.
Of course, it is Love Wrestling Sunday Brunch. Parrish is back from timeout.
I pop everyone and go in timeout. This is selfish.
I don't know if I would say I popped. I would say I got like a somewhat frustrated look.
Still a pop. Pop is an emotional investment reaction.
I sound like a leaky balloon right now. Like it's I don't understand.
This is
That
the
was
most
good, though.
off the rails Sunday brunch.
You need to make a sound clip out of that.
No, trust me, Kyle. There have been many
We don't
off
have
the rails Sunday brunches coming up and have been in the past. Let's talk some Impact Rebellion because, of course, the
Wait a
Forbidden
second.
Door is.
I didn't get to give my opinion on Aleister Black. What is that?
Oh,
crap about?
fine.
Yeah, but Mr.
Fine.
Wait a second.
You know what?
No,
you know what, Mr.
no,
J?
no,
even
Spencer.
to let you.
You know
I'm
what?
just gonna give you the big screen. Give your
The
thoughts.
man with literal poetry of a promo doesn't get to talk about the promo, right?
Well,
I
now you
love
do.
I can't wait to see what they're doing with it. I hope they go on with this. I don't care what he's going to do when he gets back. I think the glasses alone have me interested I have no idea why, but it just builds that character of like, what is happening with this man? And the book I thought was a little lame, but then the animation came in and the promo was actually really cool. Are we not talking about the same promo here? Because he's sitting in the chair and he's reading the book of whatever.
I thought so. I thought it was a really well done promo.
I thought it was
If somebody's
that
disagreeing,
sounds interesting. I just assumed he was in the back somewhere and
no,
hey, I'm Aleister Black and I'm coming to beat some ass or something. I don't know.
No. Oh, sorry, Goose. I didn't realize you didn't see it. That's my bad. I wasn't paying attention earlier.
I'm going to
How
check it
dare
out now. I'm glad that it sounds interesting.
how
Oh,
dare you spoil last Friday's SmackDown for
I
the
know.
Canadian Goose?
Coming from a man
And-
who doesn't even watch SmackDown ever.
And how dare all of us? How dare all of us spoil that through this entire conversation?
Yeah, whoops.
Frustrating time.
Go
What
listen to
can you
poetry
do?
of a promo. to make
I'm
up
not
for it.
upset that you spoiled it. I'm in fact more interested now in seeing it.
Yeah, like what I'll be honest. I saw it on YouTube and I clicked on it. And I'm like, wait, it isn't just Aleister Black threatening. Oh, I'll pick whatever, like whatever that was. I liked it. I thought it was really interesting, and it got me more interested in the characters. So
It was definitely a highlight of SmackDown. You know, Parrish and I did the Reacts show for that, and that was really cool. But like, still, like my standout moment of that SmackDown was Sami Zayn dancing over Kevin Owens. Like, dude, that was like classic. That's like that was my moment of the show. That was.
I feel like most weeks I could just say the sentence. My highlight of the week was Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
And that's it. That's all. The
And
guy is.
he just happens to be Canadian, which is just that much better.
he just so happens to be from Montreal, which makes it that much better because we have something to be proud of in sports. Whoops.
He just happens to be a very, very good dude. Actually,
Expose.
When Bullet Club
that
is
was
out
a
of
maddening. As a Vladimir Guerrero fan, I'm upset by your comment.
Senior or junior?
Senior.
Because junior's
Senior.
actually doing well too.
Well, yeah, I know that. Don't worry, but I couldn't make a Blue Jays joke off of Montreal Expos.
Vladimir
reference.
Guerrero.
Come on. Yes,
Viva La
Vladdy.
Raza.
Oh,
don't know who that is.
Wait.
This isn't We Love Baseball. This is We Love Wrestling.
Frustrating. That is so frustrating. You know what? Screw it. We're going to take the opportunity to take a quick break here. Speaking of great French Canadians, I had the chance to chat with PCO, great French Canadian, talking about great Canadians. So I cover off all the bases of the last couple minutes of conversation. Take a minute, refill your drinks, grab a coffee, grab a mimosa, we'll figure out a topic for the next segment. I think we'll go back to Impact Rebellion if that works for everybody. But before we do that, here is Perfect Creation 1 on some great Canadian wrestlers. Absolutely, man. Are there potentially any Canadians out there right now that have caught your eye in the last little bit? Any that you maybe feel are underrated, deserve more of an opportunity, whatever buzzwords you can throw on it?
There's a team called TBT. There's who else? These guys are really a good tag team, but they were on many shows with either Cody or like names that they've wrestled against them, and I think they do well. I think it's just a matter of timing for them because everybody knows them. There's Jeremy Prophet. There's Mike Bailey's. A bunch of other guys. There's quite a few.
100%, man.
Strata. Yeah, I could go on and on. Like I could probably do a bunch of other names.
One of my favorite parts of my interviews is watching the evolution of my hair. It really is.
Chill dude. Such a chill dude. Like, and then you see him in like the PCO character, and he's so like out there. But then when you like just talk to the guy like out of character, like as I've met him in person before, he's so like chill and relaxed. It's really quite something.
Yeah.
We'll just flip that switch and turn into that French Canadian Frankenstein, man. It's pretty incredible.
Guy's an absolute stud. And like you said, just a good dude as well. Some of the individuals he mentioned, like you talk about Jeremy Prophet, you talk about Speedball Mike Bailey, who I had the chance to speak to recently, and then Zach hopping in as well. This is a team that's been brought up not only by Zach to me before, but like Speedball brought him up when I spoke with him. Obviously, PCO did as well. TDT has done some fantastic things in the Quebec independent scene, a hell of a tag team. I would highly suggest checking them out. Yeah, I was going to say, Mr. J, I'm sure you could speak a little bit to him. So if you want to, take the opportunity. You just know him better than I would. Please, feel more than free. The floor is yours.
They are by far, I think, one of my favorite tag teams in the Quebec scene right now. And they're just they're basically, I'm going to swear, I apologize. I said I was going to try and not. They're a pair of shit-kicking French-Canadian lumberjacks. And if you don't like that, you're just wrong. And that's all you need to know. Go and find footage of them. They are so much fun to watch. And like the matches are amazing to see live and on video. So
completely agree. Completely agree. I would suggest checking them out as well as I would suggest that you guys check out tonight's Impact Rebellion. I'm excited as all hell for it. And Double J, I see your comments in there. I'm going to bring a couple of them up because some of them are points that I wanted to touch on while we spoke about Rebellion tonight. Mr. J and I will be live immediately following the closing bell. I'm not 100% certain if it's going to end at 10 or 11 Eastern, but either way, we'll be close to immediately after the closing bell. But before we review, we must preview, and let's start with the main event. I would have to assume the AEW and Impact World Championships on the line. Rich Swann, of course, the Impact champion, taking on Kenny by God Omega for a title versus title match. And JJ bringing up a point that I wanted to touch on and get everyone else's opinion. The build of the title versus title has been weird, almost non-existent on AEW. I completely agree, JJ. Rich Swann never appearing on AEW programming is a complete mistake. Complete mistake. And the only real caveat I've got to that is like, I really don't know just what travel is like in the United States. I can't speak to that, but if he was able to get there, as I would assume many professional wrestlers have been able to travel cross country and fly and all of that sort of stuff safely. I would have to assume that Rich Swann would be able to be brought into All Elite Wrestling. Even Tony Khan, and I don't know the full context of the quote, but I saw like a Bleacher Report graphic or Inside the Ropes graphic, something like that, where Khan was talking about the lack of promotion for this match, and he basically said, well, that's on Impact. And I don't really know if I buy into that. I've never promoted a wrestling show, so take my opinion for what it's worth. Diddly squat. But it's an odd decision to me not to have that, because it does make it feel like At least for me, it's almost a foregone conclusion that Kenny Omega is going to win this match, or there's going to be some sort of shenanigans. Mighty Joe, I'll move to you.
It is interesting that they haven't, for them claiming to cross promote. It feels very one sided. Like even this partnership feels like it's really kind of benefiting Impact because they're getting a lot of AEW viewers to go and check them out. But it's not. It's the best way I can kind of. But it doesn't feel like an equal partnership. It feels like one side is benefiting more than the other in this. So you said having next to no Impact talent appearing on AEW television, it is odd considering that you're doing this, supposed almost kind of like invasion type of angle, but there's no invasion going on.
And I agree with that. Like, and I think we've all talked about it in some way, shape, or form, whether on Sunday brunch. I know Wrestling Plug Inc.'s John and I, we were chatting about this on the Thursday post show for Impact. Is like, you look at some of the dream matches that are being left on the table if it doesn't go any further than this. Like Deonna Purrazzo, I know I'm beating a dead horse with this one because I always will sing the praises of Deonna Purrazzo, but like,
rightfully so.
Anybody on that show, whether it's Britt Baker, whether it's Hikaru Shida, whether it's Nyla Rose, whether it's Big Swole, any of them, she could face off with like a broomstick and wrestle a great match. And those women that I just named aren't broomsticks by any means. They're all great wrestlers in their own right? So having those on the table. Chris Bay is another one that for me, and I'm just taking a quick glance. Somebody fact check me on this one if I'm wrong, but like how Chris Bay isn't on the card for tonight's show is asinine to me. I think he's a heavyweight champion contender sooner rather than later here. So again, if I'm just wrong on that,
for the
I don't see him on there.
no, it's the triple threat. We've got Ace Austin versus Josh Alexander versus TJP, which is going to be again a hell of a match, but really odd to me that, like you guys say, Chris Bay's not in that one. That's surprising to me as well.
Yeah.
So, Maniac, I see your comment in here as well. That's the next one we'll get to, but we'll get through everybody's thoughts on just the main event itself. Goose, what are your thoughts? I know that you might not be the most fond of this one, as I'm not, but I could be wrong there. What are your thoughts on the main event?
I watched AEW this week, and I thought it was kind of weird. Like, there was this one segment where Kenny Omega, the Good Brothers, and the Young Bucks were all like sitting around in a trailer, and they're chatting, and Kenny Omega was cutting a promo, and then there's like this honking starts going on, right? Honk, 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 and not the kind of honk, honk, honk that I get, but like from cars, right? A car was honking at the. So then it cuts outside, and you see John Moxley and Eddie Kingston, and they're in a truck, and they're honking the horn, and they drive, and they crash right into the trailer, and then Kingston and Moxley get out, and they go and they start busting up windows on the trailer, and they go inside, and there's like, hey, there's nobody in there. They come out, and I'm like, wait, they just showed the guys in there, and they were like, hey, what's that honking noise? And then they got out of the truck and went in the trailer, and they couldn't find them. Like, what, did they hide under the couch or something? How'd they get out of there?
Admittedly, I didn't watch AEW this week. Like, there's a couple of comments in here as well. Like, if somebody, I think the most likely conclusion for tonight's match is there's got to be a schmoz or something along those lines. I would lean towards it maybe being a Moxley or an Eddie Kingston.
I also, I mean, I don't want to speak out of turn, but I remember that when Rich Swann got released from WWE, it was for some pretty shady reasons. Like, he like beat up his wife or something.
I can't speak to it exactly.
So maybe they
as far as I
don't want to put him on TV. Like,
well, as far as I know, that was like settled in an amicable way. Because if I remember correctly, he's married to Sue Young, who's wrestling for Impact as well. So I believe, and I don't ever want to condone anything like that as far as any sort of situations like that go.
Like, I was hesitant
as far as
comment. But.
No, don't worry, man. Like, I agree. It's something that had happened, right? So you can't completely ignore it. As far as I'd been made aware, that was settled amicably with some sort of like it's cliche or it sounds like I'm brushing it off, but was like something that was blown out of proportion a little bit. Again, feel free to fact check me in the comments. I'm happy to be fact check on stuff like that. I do agree with you completely, Shaw. If there was something like more sinister there, then yeah, don't put anybody like that on TV. As far as I'm aware, though, that was settled in an amicable way.
Okay, because I was just thinking that maybe Impact's a little more lenient than AEW on that sort of thing, and maybe that's why.
Oh yeah. Hey man, I can't speak.
Again, it's complete speculation, and I have never met Rich Swann and don't have any issues with him like personally. But
I've met Rich Swann actually when we were in Toronto for Survivor Series in 2016.
Nice.
My brother and I met him. We met Joe. We met the Revival, Mickey James, Bailey.
I don't remember meeting you there.
Nice.
Ty Dillinger.
we should probably talk about the Mickey James thing too.
Yeah,
If you met me in Toronto in 2016, I think you met an imposter.
it was. Well, maybe
It was Joe Jr.
I don't think I've got a photo with you.
Didn't you
Well played,
wrestle AJ Styles on that SummerSlam?
Quick shout to a couple of folks in the comments here. JJ hopping in as well. You don't have to pay. You don't have to pay to have Impact Champion on AEW. If the Good Brothers can keep on appearing week after week, I'm sure they can make room for Swann. Yeah, I completely agree. Like I said, the only real out I would have for either promotion on it really is that if there was something where he was restricted traveling, anything like that. Okay, like that's a fully valid excuse. These are odd times for everyone. Every other cliche you can put on COVID, but like I don't think that's the case. Just given, like you said, JJ, the fact that the Good Brothers have traveled, the fact that indie wrestling is at least starting to slowly but surely come back. But again, that's my speculation, and I'm sticking to it. Everything Pro Wrestling. Good day to you, friends, as well. Feel free to say hi if you guys are in the comments, watching on YouTube, watching on Twitch, watching on Facebook. We're chatting everything Pro Wrestling. See what I did there?
Well done, sir. Well done.
Thank you very much. Ed, good to see you, friend. Thank you for tuning in last night. Thank you for tuning in today. And thank you for making a great point as well. I don't disagree. AEW is completely, essentially taking advantage of Impact in this. Yeah, unless something big happens tonight, like I would be shocked in the most positive of ways. Not shocked because of the quality of wrestler, but shocked in that I wouldn't see it coming if Rich Swann won the AEW World Championship tonight. But again, I brought up earlier there that perhaps it's Kingston, perhaps it's Moxley. I've talked previously about maybe Kota Ibushi interrupting here after losing the what's it called now, Joe? The IWGP Heavyweight.
It is called the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship.
Thank you. I wasn't sure. That was genuinely from a place of curiosity. But after losing that, like maybe there's some reason. He hasn't taken a lot of shots, but I know Omega's taken those couple of subtle shots that I'm better than Ibushi, I'm better than everybody. Maybe that happens. Okada, I think that'll always be some speculations that's kicked around when it comes to Omega and AEW. I see there being a schmoz. If it's a schmoz that leads to Rich Swann winning, I'd be thrilled because you know what? I think for me, if Rich Swann won the AEW championship, I think that would make all of this worth it. I think you could forgive a lot if that was to be the moment coming out of it. Do I buy it completely? No, not particularly. I think Omega's winning this one, but
he debuts on the show as the AEW champion. That'd be pretty insane.
Yeah. If Kenny does retain that title, though, that would be a great opportunity for Kota Ibushi to show up. That would that would be pretty interesting.
Also, we're talking
even if it's video like satellite feed or like a video package, even that would be cool. Like I'd be like, ooh, yeah.
I agree. Parrish, I'm going to grab this comment from Everything Pro Wrestling in here, and then your thoughts. You've been very pensive in this one. I'm interested to hear what you think on this match. I feel like they are trying to stretch the partnership slowly, meaning one or two feuds at a time. I don't think we're ready for a promotion versus promotion. I don't think it needs to be like a full-on invasion, but they've talked about this forbidden door being open and wide open and working with everybody, and then to only really have one individual crossover from AEW to Impact, and then the Good Brothers go over to AEW. And then there was that Sammy Guevara thing that I've got no insight into, but apparently he was supposed to go over as well. So how that affected things, I've got no idea and can't even begin to speculate on it. But I think there's room. There was room for one more over the last few months. And I think that's why I'm a little lukewarm on this whole forbidden door being blown wide open. I think that like Kenny Omega found a forbidden window and crawled his way through, and then hauled the Good Brother. Somehow they all crawled through the same window, even though Luke Gallows is 7'14". But they all came out the same forbidden window together, and they've just been going back and forth.
Plus, a lot of it's to do with COVID too, right? We got to take that into account too.
That's exactly it too, right? Like if it's anything that's beyond a promotion's control, I again only can speak from a place of speculation. I've got no inside knowledge. There are a lot of people out there who have more inside knowledge than me. I can only speak as a fan, and I, as a fan, would like to see some Chris Bay, some Deonna Purrazzo, some Eddie Edwards. Like the matches he could have with some of the individuals on AEW would be absolutely fantastic, right? Like him and Mox could put on an absolute banger. How you get there, I don't know. Again, I'm just speculating. Parrish, let's move on to you. Yeah, actually, let's throw that one up there real quick too. Rich gets let go, but WWE keeps Riddle. That is a thing that happens. Every promotion's got some weird skeletons in their closet that for some reason or another they just choose to.
Yeah, well, AEW is Sammy Guevara. Let's not paint anybody a demon here when everyone's guilty.
Hey, that's what I'm saying, Parrish.
But I'm sick of people taking shots at WWE when everyone's just as guilty. I mean, this is getting a little bit tiring to
quite literally the sentence I just said.
I know,
but every promotion's got them.
But like it's like, come on, like if a company truly doesn't do its due diligence, you think they're gonna let them on their show? No, they're gonna do something about it. I mean, let's just stop talking about what we don't know and let's talk about the stuff we do know. And I don't mean that to anybody here, but I mean when it comes to the stuff that happens at home, we're not there. Just leave it out of your thought process. You're just only gonna speak false statements. But in regards to Rebellion, I do like the fact that Rich Swann is getting an opportunity to wrestle in a big time match. And the only problem is, and I think it circles back to the whole thing, it just seems like this whole partnership only revolves around AEW, the Bullet Club type guys. And if you're a true star that happened to make it, like a Moxley, who now is in AEW, then you'll get that treatment. We saw Matt Hardy on Impact with Private Party. I believe
that's right. I did forget about that. That's admittedly my bad.
But here's the thing: why hasn't Deonna been on AEW? Why hasn't like the Myers or Cordonas really done more on AEW? Because I know Cardona did the one segment or so. But then again, like why hasn't other AEW guys gone on? It just seems like it's the same group of guys, and that's why I'm surprised like the Young Bucks haven't gone there. I'm curious to see if somebody like Christian Cage will go back to Impact with his history with Impact. I think that'd be a cool little thing as well. But I kind of have to agree with you, Spencer. I don't see them really doing a big finish necessarily. It could be a schmoz, it could be an angle type of thing, but I can't see Impact putting their champ into a match. No, his little brother Eric Angle,
James Angle.
Yeah, but no, like I can't see Impact wanting to put their champion in this situation and have him losing weak, just like AEW doesn't want their champion looking weak. So like there has to be a catch here, and I do think that catch is them leading to something bigger. And I do think maybe Ibushi might actually side with Impact just to create a little bit more star power on the Impact side, because this feels a lot like when WWE went up against the Alliance and nobody really gave a shit because nobody believed the Alliance could win. Therefore, they had to put Kurt Angle. They had to put Steve Austin on that side just to give them some star power because they.
Buff Bagwell didn't do it for you?
Does Buff Bagwell ever do it for me? And I've shared a locker room with that guy.
I haven't. I can't speak to that. I do want to give
it for some paying customers. Those women.
Geez, Shaw offside. JJ hopping into the casual fans who tune in, to the casual fans who tune in Dynamite and see Omega with other belts. What are they going to think? How many of 1.2 million AEW viewers actually know this match is taking place? That's a very astute statement, and I know we've touched on it a little bit, but like AEW, even outside of Swan not appearing on the show, they haven't highlighted this a ton. Like you say, Shaw, last week would have been AEW's quote-unquote go-home show for Rebellion. And they choose to close that segment out with, the Good Brothers are there. but they close it out with John Moxley and Eddie Kingston ramming into their bus with a truck. Right.
And then they went in the bus and couldn't find them, and they were clearly in there. Like, I was like, what's going
There's
on?
an explanation for that. They're escape artists.
Well, and here's another point. Could it be Tony Khan is actually paying Impact for promotion since Impact isn't paying? Since Impact isn't paying, AEW isn't promoting. I think that is the case because Tony Khan did come, and I don't remember where I saw it, but he has paid for the commercials. He has done all of that sort of stuff. So I see the logic there. I don't disagree with you. I just think that it's quite odd that you would choose to form this relationship, quote unquote, and not promote, when it is something as simple. And I again use the phrase simple. I've never promoted a wrestling show, so the air quotes are there for a reason, folks.
Get on it.
Simply having Omega. Omega's brought up the AAA championship just in promos, right? And it's not as though he's brought up in a ton of promos, at least as far as my memory can recall, that he's challenging for the AEW heavyweight champion or the Impact World Championship.
There are fans in AEW that have no idea what the Impact title looks like. Therefore, if they have never seen this title and Kenny Omega wins it, why do the fans give about Kenny Omega winning the title? What importance does that have if even AEW doesn't signify the importance of this title by not having it on their product at all? So even if Omega was to win it, why care? Like, why should I be invested in it if you haven't made me feel like it matters?
Yep, I don't disagree with you at all. I'm excited for the match. I feel like I say that about pretty well any match on a card at this point, but it's a statement I stand by every time I say it, is that most professional wrestling promotions sign pro wrestlers that are talented enough to put on a solid pro wrestling match with pretty well anybody out there, right? Like, all of these guys get signed for a reason, whether you're looking at Rich Swann, whether you're looking at Tasha Steelz and Kiara Hogan, whether you're looking at Tennille Dashwood, anybody else on this card, right? They're all great. When it comes specifically to the heavyweight championship match, or the heavyweight championships match, I suppose, it's odd to me how little it's happened on AEW, or how little promotion is happened on AEW. Joe, I know you've tried to make a couple of points, and I do apologize, so I'm going to rip through the comments here. I'll let you get the final word, and then we'll give one more exclusive before we start to close the show out. We got about 20 minutes left on Sunday Brunch. Let's make sure we tackle everything out. Everything pro wrestling in there. Agree, spending AEW has shown no fear of losing their title, and that's odd. Rich Swann is a talented-ass pro wrestler. Kenny Omega, even if it is just storyline, I do at least buy in. I've got my own arguments, but buy into him being the top guy, quote unquote, in wrestling right now as far as talent goes. Reese on Wrestling hopping in. Omega can win all the belts he wants, but he will never hold the Quizplex world title. Let me tell you, Reese, if Kenny Omega ever approaches us and says he wants to hop on Quizplex, that ain't an opportunity we're shooting down by any means. Smark Mouth, I always confuse you. I apologize, Zach. Silly detail, but NWA has been tying in Baker versus Rosa. Cross promo seems one-sided all around. I do agree there too. I really do agree. Same here too, JJ. Great points in the comments today, and I fully encourage you guys to keep making great comments like this. Vince McMahon promoted ECW barely legal in '97 while giving Heyman and letting ECW talent on Raw. Right? And that's what I thought would have happened more, is that even if Tony's paying, promotion is a good idea in any sense of the word, right? Like, promoting your product. You are a promoter, and he does a great job of promoting AEW. I won't take any shots there, don't get me wrong, but promoting this match specifically, yes, it's taking place on a rival promotion, but your champion is in it. And I think a lot of people have the same speculation as me, in that Kenny Omega, if you're going to pick a winner in this, probably has the odds in his favor. Right? So why you wouldn't be trying to promote more of this, why you wouldn't promote another heavyweight championship win by one of the biggest stars in pro wrestling right now is odd to me. So, Joe, I'll let you close her out here, my friend. What are your thoughts on Omega versus Swann specifically? We'll touch on the rest of the card in the final segment.
It's so strange, because we literally have a winner takes all for these championships, but it's so weird, because it feels like there's, at the same time, like, we have both of these titles on the line, but it feels like there's so little at stake, if that makes sense. That's the impression I get with this. Like, it feels like that. Just not that the titles are worthless, but it doesn't feel like there's a whole lot at stake here, just because it has been so poorly promoted. It's sad because I think both are good, legitimate titles, but it's almost like this is kind of devaluing it. I don't know. It's odd. That's just the best way I can kind of put it. It's odd.
It is an odd one indeed. However, we're not going to focus on the negative. We're going to focus on some real cool stuff in professional wrestling, whether it's legends like PCO or whether it's up-and-comers like Mariah May. She is 22. She is based out of the United Kingdom. She has already tried out for WWE in front of names like William Regal and Sarah Stock. That's where the W came from earlier. My mind's going everywhere. It's my Michael Scott syndrome kicking in. We're going to give you an exclusive on that particular topic from Mariah herself as part of this week's upcoming interview. And then we'll be back to chat a little bit Impact Rebellion, a little bit Love Wrestling, and close her out on Sunday Brunch. Stick around. Yeah, I might be being presumptive here, or assuming a little bit, but like getting the opportunity to try out in front of William Regal, who at least as an outsider had such an influence on British wrestling, like did that mean a little bit extra to you, or what was the experience like as far as the tryout went?
Yeah, it meant so much. And it's just like, I mean, I grew up watching William Regal, and there was Sarah Stock there were some incredible people there, the producers. There were so many people who have done a lot for British wrestling, and they have legends like William Regal, and to be able to show them what you can do and to get feedback from them. In a sense, it was literally 3 days of training with them. Like, how lucky to be able to get that tutelage, to get that coaching from these just legends, like
literally the best of the best. Yeah.
And it's just like, I just felt so blessed to do that. And the tryout itself was incredible. I learned so much, and it was good to kind of show what you've been working on too. That was really gratifying to kind of get that opportunity to show your hard work. And for me, I was just trying to be a sponge and just take everything in. And like, I remember walking into the PC, and like, obviously there's one in the UK now, which that's just crazy, right? That there's a performance center in the UK. That's amazing. And like, just walking in there and just like seeing the WWE ring, and just it, honestly, like I could just feel it. Like, what I was saying about revving the engine, like I could just feel those butterflies the whole time. But I just went into just game face mode, and I was like, I need to make these 3 days count. And then you can go home and you can cry, and you can, you can just have your moment, you can go home and you can kind of feel like, oh. But, for me, it was just like game face, and I just try to be a sponge and just absorb it, because above all else, obviously it is a tryout, but it's training, and it's a chance to train with some of the best. And also I got to try out with some amazing women British wrestlers too. Yeah. So that was really, really cool too.
That was very, very cool. Also very cool is JJ's already hopped on. Promoter of the Year, Tony Khan, hopping in the comments. Tony, very excited for the co-promoted pay-per-view you guys are putting on tonight. And as our friend JJ has said, please let us on the payroll.
Is that legitimately the Tony Khan?
Yeah. Good buddy Tone. Friend of the show, Tony Khan.
We like to call him.
It's my best friend, ladies and gentlemen. It's
our
wrestling
best friend.
exclusive.
Yes.
Of course, proving that we are not yet on the payroll, so don't ever accuse us of bias. However, I got a little bit of a bias for Impact Professional Wrestling. So
on the payroll if he wants to offer me a job.
I side with Goose on this. Spencer, you're on your own.
All right. You know what? That's fine. We'll take the sponsorship. If you want to run a commercial on the show, I would hazard a guess that we charge less than Impact. But that is neither here nor there. We're going to be tuned into Impact Pro Wrestling tonight. Yes, tonight. Fight TV presenting Impact Rebellion, a card I am very excited for. We've talked a lot about the main event tonight. Of course, Kenny Omega taking on Rich Swann, but a lot of great matches taking place on tonight's card. We got about 15 minutes left on the show, and we need about 5 of it to plug some stuff. I know we'll get some comments on that end of things. We got more plugs than cheap electrician. However, we've also got some great matches lined up for the evening. So we're going to make these a wide variety, I suppose, of 60 seconds or less segments, friends. Mighty Joe, I'm going to start with you, and we are going to start with the Impact World Tag Team Championship match tonight. Finjuice coming in, carrying the titles, taking on the Good Brothers. What are your thoughts? We're going to go to Shaw next, Mr. J after, and Parrish, you can close her out. For sure. For me, as much as I love Finjuice, especially being a New Japan Pro Wrestling fan, I love what those guys do over there. It's kind of hard, given
how things have been kind of transpiring here, I mean, it would make sense, I guess, to put the titles on the Good Brothers at this point, but we'll see. It should be interesting. Like I said, Juice Robinson, I've always been a big fan of, even in his NXT stint there. And but just briefly, I know you didn't kind of say to kind of do it this way, but I will say that like the match that I'm most looking forward to is that last man standing match with Trey Miguel and Sami Callihan. I'm really looking forward to that match.
You and I both, and we will let you get the last word on that one. We'll talk about that match next. But before then, Goose, your thoughts on the Impact World Tag Team Championship match? Finlay and Robinson taking on Anderson and Gallows.
Finlay. Oh, okay.
Not that Finlay.
David Finlay. Finjuice.
Oh, is that Finlay's son?
I believe so, yes.
Oh, awesome. Okay. I mean, I would still go with the Good Brothers. You know, you could do the big thing where they win the belts and they're in the back celebrating with Kenny Omega. And then if you do want to put Rich Swann over as like the top guy, you know, it could be like this thing like, you know, we won our match. Why didn't you win, Kenny? And then maybe Kenny and the Good Brothers are having at odds, you know? So
I've got all the time in the world for a Kenny Omega, Carl Anderson feud. I've got all the time in the world for that feud.
It could be pretty good.
I've got, pretty good to say the least. Carl Anderson is, again, one of those individuals I describe as he could have a great match with a broomstick. And if we're talking about people who are far from broomsticks as far as pro wrestling goes, Kenny Omega's got to be near the top of that as far as that very peculiar list, I suppose. Mr. J, your thoughts? World Tag Team Championship match tonight, Impact Wrestling.
My pick on this, who wins? Me, first of all, because it's going to be a damn good match.
You, the fans.
No, just me. Forget about the fans. I don't care.
Forget about everyone else. Now. You got the screen.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think it's pretty obvious where my allegiances lie. It's those good brothers that are going to take those title belts. It's a fact. Take me off main screen right now. Thank you.
I just wanted to give you a last moment to shine, to bask in the glory of your fact. And Parrish, I will give you not only that opportunity, but the final word on this match.
I think this is a match where if we're watching like guys like Eddie Kingston and Moxley get involved, I think this would be a great chance to have them cost Gallows and Anderson the tag titles and set up an Impact versus AEW tag match there on that end. And then you kind of can have those two go and then keep the titles on Finjuice. I think you can keep the titles on Finjuice and then still escalate the storyline between AEW and Impact.
I completely agree, man, and I'm going to let you just continue right on. You're going to get the first word, I suppose, on the Impact last man standing match between Trey Miguel and Sami Callihan. I'm going to give this one to Finjuice. I think they're going to hold on to him a little bit longer. I think that's too easy of a play to go with the Good Brothers. I think that just what's the best way to put it? It seems too easy. That's the best way I can sum it up, is that having New Japan guys come in, quote unquote, and just have the belts for their 3-week, month-long title run. Nah, those guys are too talented. I want to see this continue. Unfortunately, JJ disagrees with me, but we are all about respectful disagreement here on Love Wrestling. Finjuice had a fun run. Time for the Good Brothers to win and former Bullet Club as the Elite collects all the gold. Definitely a story to be told there, man. And if the Good Brothers leave with their hands raised, I will not be upset about it in the least. I got all the time in the world for Juice Robinson. I really, really do. David Finlay's really grown on me over the last little bit. Admittedly, I didn't know a ton about him prior to this tag team. So I've really enjoyed getting to know him, especially in this capacity. I'm pulling for Finjuice. Parrish, your thoughts on the last man standing match? We got Trey Miguel and Sami Callihan.
Well, I think when you have a chance to see two guys just, go to war with each other and beat each other up and just try to, quote unquote, kind of end one another. And I think this is going to be a match where a lot of guys, they got something to prove in this one. I don't know a lot about Trey Miguel, but what I do know about him is that this is an opportunity for him to showcase himself and to really put his mark in the Impact roster and solidify himself. Sami Callihan is a former champion. We can never take that away, and we can never forget that fact. He has a lot to offer. He can easily get back in that picture if he had to. He's 1 win away, really, to be in there.
Yeah.
Trey Miguel, this is an opportunity to kind of just step on that platform and jump to a higher level, I think, with a good showing. Not just a win, but a good showing.
Completely agree. I think that this is a great launching point for Trey Miguel, and not to say he hasn't before. The Rascals are fantastic, and he's been on a fantastic singles run, to use the cliche, throughout his return with Impact. But this is really the first marquee singles match he's had the opportunity to be in the few months since coming back. This is Sami Callihan's wheelhouse, and Sami Callihan losing a last man standing match, a very violent match. It's a big win. It really is. It's like beating the Undertaker in a WrestleMania match. You know, it's
Casket
like
match.
beating him. That's what I was just going to make the other comparison to, is something like that, where they're just so associated with people. I feel like Sami Callihan's earned that with Impact, and I think that Trey Miguel is going to use it as a great launching point. I've got him for the win tonight. Mr. J.
I'm going to go with Sammy on this one, simply because, again, like you said, not to steal your words, but I will, and I don't care. But it's in his wheelhouse, and it's going to be a damn good match. But I have to pull for Sammy on this one.
I completely agree. Goose, I'll move to you next. I just want to give a quick shout out to our good friend Throwback. Good afternoon, guys. Listen while at work. Always amazing to hear your opinions and thoughts. Always good to see you, friend. I always love chatting with you, whether it's on live stream or otherwise. Hopefully we get to work together sooner rather than later. But until then, friend, good to see you in the comments. Goose, I'm going to get your thoughts on this comment here from our good friend JJ. Picking Trey, but wouldn't be surprised if Sammy wins via a returning Ken Shamrock. Give us your thoughts.
Wow.
That would be awesome. I like Ken Shamrock. I mean, I have admittedly not followed him very much since he left the WWE. I know he did the one show there in Calgary, the Heart Legacy thing, where he didn't actually wrestle.
No.
But
Advertised to wrestle. Didn't actually wrestle.
they didn't even have referees on that show. It was weird.
Yeah, didn't Sweet Daddy Soul referee every match but his own match?
He refereed the midget match for sure. I know that.
Small person match.
Okay.
It's okay in wrestling to say midget.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that was my.
They prefer it,
understanding.
actually.
Yeah.
I don't know that. I'm just
I do.
okay. Well,
but
I can safely say
It's all
I
you.
didn't want to divert the question here to Heart Legacy Wrestling, but I would like to see Sami Callihan win. I think Sami Callihan was kind of squandered pretty badly in the WWE. Like,
Yep.
that guy was like a hot prospect for a long time, and then finally got there and did fuck all.
Yep.
So,
And through no fault of his own. There's really no other way you can
I'd
put
like
it.
to see some good things happen for him. And the other fella, Trey, I'm not super familiar. I think that he was sort of like the third man in the MSK when they were in TNA.
Yep. The
If I'm not
Rascals.
mistaken. Okay,
Yeah.
so like he's probably extremely talented as well. So it should
Oh,
be
yeah.
a good match between two young guys with a lot to prove.
Yep. Mighty Joe, I'll let you get the final word on this one. After that, Goose, I'm going to give you the first words on the triple threat match between Ace Austin, Josh Alexander, and TJP for the X Division Championship. Joe, to you before that, though, friend.
Yeah, for sure. With this match, like I said, it's actually the one I'm looking forward to most on this show. And I got to, and it's not just because we're wearing the same shirt, but I do have to side with my Bullet Club brother next to me over here, Mr. J, that, I mean, this is right in Sammy's wheelhouse. So it really, really is hard to kind of bet against him. If I was a betting man, I would be putting my hard-earned money on Sami Callihan to win this and win it handedly. Having said that, I am a fan of Trey. And just on a side note, I'm hoping it'll show up. I just actually posted in our Twitch chat. Our good friend, Mr. Ryan K. Bowman over at Sportskeeda, actually had an exclusive interview with Trey Miguel about his upcoming match at the show. So you guys can check that out if you so please.
Neato Burrito. And if we're talking about the comment section, as you can see, Zach throwing up. JPJ making an appearance here in spirit. If you guys subscribe to us on Twitch, which you guys can do now as we were affiliated a couple of weeks ago, it is encouraged. It does help us not only continue to do more cool things, bring you more great guests, but helps individuals like these great people. Let's not only support great people in pro wrestling, but let's try and put some money in their jeans. You guys can help us do that by subscribing, and you can get nice little emotes like you can see there with JPJ. Zach, feel free to throw the rest of them there in the comments. I believe you've got the right to that. If you don't, I'll do it. As the head honcho here, I can do that. Goose, your thoughts on the triple threat for the X Division title? Like I said, we got Ace Austin carrying the championship in. He's defending against Josh Alexander and Theodore James Perkins.
I think that sounds fantastic. I've been on shows with Josh Alexander and Ace Austin. I mean, I haven't wrestled either of them, but I've wrestled on the same shows as them. And it was they're both fantastic. I've heard that TJP can sort of get on people's nerves or something a little bit. He's like, there's some political problems with him or something. I don't know. I always thought he was fantastic in WWE. That sounds like a great match to me. I would very much like to watch that.
And you can tonight on Impact Rebellion. Going to be a hell of a card, just like it is a hell of a discovery that I can.
Is it on pay-per-view or just on Twitch?
Pay-per-view tonight, my friend.
Okay.
I believe you can get it through Fight. There are a couple of different ways you can access it, though, if I remember correctly. But we'll figure that out. Someone else in the comment section can maybe help us out there, because let me tell you, trying to moderate this and the Twitch chat and all of that sort of stuff, I'm stretched thin. If you still expect me to talk at all, Mighty Joe, your thoughts on the triple threat for the X Division title?
This is a tough one for me because I don't watch a ton of the Impact product. But I mean, when I look at all three guys and their experience, I mean, like, I want to pull for either Ace Austin or TJP. I think I've seen a lot more of Ace Austin, TJP. I mean, for me, like if I have to pick a winner for this, I mean, I think you got to go with Ace Austin. I think he's kind of big deal over there in Impact. You know, at least they definitely are pushing him as such. So for me, I mean, just looking at the guy, I mean, he has X Division like written all over him, especially when I think back, you know, not so much these days, because it's not. Let's be honest, it's not quite the division that used to be. Like X Division used to be like badass, like the Ultimate X matches and stuff like that. So it's a shadow of what it used to be. But you know, I do see a little bit of that in Ace Austin. So I mean, I got to pick him.
Fair call, my friend. Parrish, Mr. J, which one of you guys wants to take this next?
I will let my good friend Mr. J take this one.
Thank you, sir. I'll be quick. I promise it'll Ace Austin, just because. Why not? I mean, I actually have no idea who's going to walk away with this, but I have a feeling it's Ace Austin. Don't know why. That's my gut feel.
Fair call, Parrish.
I actually agree, but the reason why I choose Ace Austin has I'm going to mirror Joe with his thing, with him being kind of it's almost like the face of the X Division right now in Impact. But I also would love to see him versus Sammy Guevara at some point in time. I think that would be a really good match. And if we want to continue this AEW versus Impact, then we really got to start doing it with other titles, not just the world title, but use it as a platform, as a basis for the show. And that's a money match, man. Like, this is a match that I would love to see. And Sammy would finally actually have something on his own that he could be a part of.
Yep. I don't disagree with you at all. I'm excited as all hell for this one. Admittedly, the only reason I'm not as hot on TJP as far as this match goes in particular is that his WWE run, where he's coming out and dabbing and had awful music, like, no disrespect to his talent, I did not. Too. I thought it was awful. I thought it was a 4 out of 10. I thought it was bad. But that's neither here nor there. I can't speak negatively of his work in Impact. It's just when you take that and compare it to the work that Josh Alexander has done, like you guys have both talked about with Ace Austin, like, I look at those two guys as whichever one of those two doesn't leave with the title tonight, the X Division Championship, they're going to move into the heavyweight title picture sooner rather than later. I think one of those two guys is your next heavyweight champion. As far as
Josh Alexander against Moose, I actually want to see that, and I'm not even a big Moose guy.
No, I want to see Josh Alexander wrestle everybody by my money. And the Canadian bias is real, but like, that guy's one of the most talented pro wrestlers in the world. I would watch that guy wrestle anybody on the Impact roster right now. that's the only reason that I would want him, quote unquote, to lose this match. Is I think whoever between him or Ace Austin doesn't win the championship tonight, because I think it's down to those two for me. The one who doesn't leave with the X Division title is going to move into the heavyweight title picture. That's my call. A couple of people in the comments here, and it's the next match we're going to move on to because it's one I'm most excited for as well. I think Deonna versus Tenille. Throwback throwing a question in here. So, Mr. J, you haven't kicked it off yet. Could you guys see Thea Trinidad possibly disrupting the women's title match and making an impact right away, causing a DQ? That match, regardless, is going to be fun. So maybe give some speculation on that comment, and then your thoughts on Deonna Purrazzo versus Tenille Dashwood for the Impact Knockouts Championship.
Well, I certainly hope it doesn't end in a DQ in the first couple minutes, because, I mean, not that it wouldn't work, but it would be not a good idea if unless it's done right, but that's speculation, and that's not what I'm here to do. So basically, all I got is on this match, I got Deonna, because it's Tenille. No, it's not happening. Not tonight. I'm sorry.
You know what, though? I've got a lot of time for Tenille Dashwood.
I do.
I really do.
Not as champion
I think,
yet.
well, and I think in a lot of the way that I talked about TJP earlier.
Stop it, Parrish.
I think that stuff with Emelina and all of this stuff that like Tenille herself didn't like and was actively against. A lot of people are soured by that still, and rightfully or wrongfully so. For me, that's just sort of the way it's played out over the last little bit, and it sucks when it happens to talented people. Like I said, for me, it's nothing against TJP as far as the talent goes. It's just when you have one of those shitty runs, there's no other way to put it. Like for me, TJP did have, like for a lot of people that Emelina, quote unquote, did have, that carries for a while. You know what I mean? And I think that's unfortunate on Emma's end, Tenille's end, because she's so damn talented. What do you mean then? Sorry, I maybe misinterpreted, and I'm sorry for that.
No, in storyline, like the way that Deonna is being built, I don't see this being the end of her run. I really don't.
That's fair. Well,
like
we might not be the end of her run, but we are, I guess, near the end of the Goose's run. He had to run.
Flying south for the summer.
Apparently, we can't. We can't talk shit about Tenille on this show anymore.
Through the headphones, he rage quit like Zach did last night.
After he didn't win and murder mystery party.
Completely fair point right there as well. Throwback. The women's rematch that WWE should have done. They faced in NXT, and this is going to be a clinic. Great point. I'd completely forgotten that they'd wrestled before. Parrish, I'll move to you on the next the women's match between Deonna Purrazzo and Tenille Dashwood. Your thoughts?
It always seems unfortunate to think that when Tenille Dashwood has an opportunity like this always seems like it could be her coming out party, so to speak. As you know, like, does a company actually pull the trigger on her? Because we did hear that Paige almost didn't become the first ever women's NXT champion, and it would have been Emma in this case. But something happened and it wasn't her. It always seems like something happens when it's for her not to have that. And now it's just Deonna having the run of her career to where this could be another block for her to get there, which I like. In a way, this makes me care more about Tenille Dashwood. She becomes more of that fighting underdog, kind of that Rudy type character that you want to see succeed. And then when she does finally have that shot, it's there. I just think there's something bigger for Deonna going on. And I think that title right now is just too important to be taken away from her at this point in time. I think that they're really on something with her as their champion, and they're leading to something bigger. So that's why I'm going with Deonna on this one. And I don't want to take anything away from the Virtuosa. She is fantastic on so many accords. But I think something big is going to happen for Deonna, but I think Tenille is going to have one of her best performances tonight.
Completely agree with you. And like, as far as Deonna goes, and you talk about the Knockouts title itself, like, you look at what Taya Valkyrie did for that championship, it's absolutely insane. absolutely insane. That record-setting run, what she did, yes, I know, like the controversy notwithstanding after everything came out, but like when Tessa Blanchard carried that championship, she was a great knockouts champion. Jordan Grace, a great knockouts champion, and then now what Deonna Purrazzo is doing for it, like that is for me, that's just textbook how you build a title. Is all four of those women, and not to discredit any other work that like Gail Kim and Awesome Kong and all of the previous generation of TNA knockouts did, but like you look at the 2-year, 3-year run that Impact's been on, everybody talking about them being the hottest they've been in years, rightfully so. A large part of that is because of the success of the knockouts division.
Yeah,
right.
And I actually believe like a big game in this will be the returning Chelsea Green, and with that hot mess character, I think that is something that we should keep our eyes out for an eventual possibility for a match between Deonna.
I completely agree. So does everything pro wrestling, the women's knockout division. I 100% agree. You could have put 1,000 fire emojis in there and it would have taken my whole screen. So I might've been frustrated for a second, but you would have been right. You would have been completely right. Mighty Joe, your thoughts on Purrazzo versus Dashwood?
I think I may be kind of in the minority when it comes to just looking back briefly on her WWE run as Emma. I mean, that's the stuff that she did with Santino. I thought was like comedy gold. Like the timing and the way that they executed that was so perfect. That the fact that obviously Emma was like the bad dancer, but they played it off as no, I'm the good one and everybody else is bad. Made that whole angle work really, really, really well. But Parasite hit on it that it seems like these companies have been afraid to kind of pull the trigger on her as a champion. Frankly, I think it's time. I think she has the talent, she has the ability, and I would like to see it happen. Nothing against Deonna Purrazzo. I think she's definitely one of the best women in professional wrestling, but I think it's time to give Tenille a bit of a rub, for lack of a better term. Because I think that she has. I don't like to use the word deserve because it implies entitlement. I think that she has earned it.
That's a very, very astute way to put it too, Joe. I never have liked saying like people earned the deserve the championship. Excuse me. They have earned it. And I think she has in spades. Goose, your thoughts on it? And then Mighty Joe, I'm going to turn right back to you for Brian Myers versus Matt Cardona.
All right.
Well, I know that one of the commenters mentioned that they'd like to see Thea Trinidad interfere in this match. And I'm pretty sure that's Zelina Vega. Yes, no?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I in my opinion, if you're going to use anybody that was recently released from WWE to come in and be a part of this, I would have Billy Kay and the Iconics come in, because
I don't know if they can, though. They've got their 90-day non-compete.
100%. I just like from a fantasy booking perspective. I watched a recent Impact thing with Emma on there, and she is fantastic. She's Australian, and the whole gimmick was that it was her and her lackey guy, and they had another woman. They had another woman come in and be a part of her show, and that the other woman had to interview Emma, and it was like comedy gold, fantastic. And Emma was a fantastic. Tenille Dashwood, I'm going to get her name right, was a fantastic heel, and I think she would fit right in with the Iconics as like her squad, her backup, and I would really, really, really love to see that. So
great call. Great call. Brian hopping in to agree with you as well. I hope Tenille gets her shot. She is so talented.
Yeah.
Bang on, Brian. Bang on. Now, let's move on. Like I was saying, Joe, we've got Brian Myers facing off with Matt Cardona. Your thoughts?
I'll keep this one short and sweet. I'm a fan of both guys. I'll get that right out now. But I think that the money with these guys is having them as a tag team, seeing them up against each other. I don't know exactly what you accomplish there, unless you can play it to where they push each other to the point where it's like, hey, let's team up and be a tag team. Then I can dig it. But like I said, the money isn't having these guys face off with each other; it's them as a tag team.
Fair point. I'm excited for it either way, but honestly, I hadn't thought of it because we've seen it before, right? Like that's why I was maybe a little leaning away from that, but I'm excited for their match. I think they've done a very, very good job of it's again, the comparison I make always is like there's great things and bad things behind having the curtain torn back and watching these guys and listening to these guys on the Major Figures podcast. Like, I love them. I'm not even a big figure guy. They're just two entertaining dudes, right? So,
and to take it even further, Spencer, because I would love to see them up against Finjuice.
Great call.
I think that would be a really fun tag team. And I also think that, because we know Finjuice, like the next time they have Tag League over in New Japan, those guys are going to be involved. And I think Cardona and Myers would be a shoo-in for Tag League as well. I think they could have fun. I think the Japan audience would dig those guys too. So I'm thinking
you've convinced me. No, you've convinced me. My only thought, like I said, was
I redeemed myself for shitting on Aleister Black. There we go.
Totally redeemed yourself.
Totally redeemed yourself. The only point I was going to make is that I think they've done, for two guys who are very well known to be good friends, they've done a good job of convincing me, at least on TV, that they hate each other. And I think that's a great sign, right? They've told a good story with it. I'm excited for the match. This is one of the matches at least for me, I look at it on the surface and in the most traditional wrestling sense possible. I want the babyface to get his comeuppance. So I'm going to call Matt Cardona. Mr. J, I'll move to you.
I want a non-contest to finish this so badly, simply because, and this just popped into my head. The next match is a winner gets all the toys. I'm finishing it there, and that's it. Whatever anybody else has to say is wrong. That's the right maneuver to go with. All the toys, winner takes all. That's the next pay-per-view main event.
Well, you need to start booking. That's all I got to say on that end. Goose, thoughts?
I like these guys. I think that they're both fantastic, but I do think that something has to be said for, like, I feel kind of bad for Kurt Hawkins because, like, his whole WWE run, he was pretty much just like, his gimmick was he was a loser. So anything he does post, like, now is just rehabilitation, and you have to, like, you either have to, like, give him the win, otherwise it's just like you're doing more of the same. And I think that having those two guys as a tag team is more valuable than, maybe.
Whoa! Sorry to cut you off there. Big applause, big hearts, big thank you. Mariah May, you stud. It's good to see you. Hello, friends. Hello, everybody joining us from Mariah May stream. Hello, House May. I was playing a clip from our interview earlier today. Thank you for tuning in. We are talking Impact Rebellion. It's good to see all of you guys. Thanks once again. Oh, Mariah. Gosh, you're going to give me diabetes. You're so sweet. Nice to see all of you guys. The comments are getting full.
Nice.
And so is my heart. Sorry, though, Goose. We were talking about Brian Myers and Matt Cardona. Thoughts on the match tonight? Continue on from there.
I was just saying that I think they're more valuable as a team just because, like I say, Kurt Hawkins' whole thing in WWE was that he was a loser. And I mean, it was effective in WWE, but if you're going to go there and do the I'm a big fish in a small pond thing, while being the smallest fish in the biggest pond is your previous experience, like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is what it is. You got a lot of fans in the comments there, Mr. J. An all the toys match between Matt Cardona and Brian Myers is a winner in everybody's books. Once they win, one of them will be crying and eating tubs of ice cream. Yeah, I don't disagree. That just sounds like a great idea as is, though. Regardless, Double J.
Also, hello, Mariah May.
Hey, of course, say hello, man. Good people supporting good people, and I can totally vouch for Mariah May being one of them and all of the people joining us here today on Sunday Brunch. Parrish, you got the last word on Brian Myers and Matt Cardona. We're going to move into the Knockouts Tag Team Championship match after. I know we got a lot of thoughts on that with Rachel Ellering making her Impact debut on Thursday night. So let's get through one match and move on to another. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, I think the one thing we always got to look into when you see two best friends kind of go at it, they're always going to bring the best out of each other, which I think is very exciting in a matchup like this because they have dreamt about this match on a stage like the Impact stage or anything. We never really saw them go up against each other in WWE. So this is really their true biggest opportunity to wrestle each other, which I think is going to be very exciting and they're going to give you a lot. My prediction, though, is the man who used to be Mr. Woo Woo Woo, Zack Ryder. It gave me a reason to actually bust out the shirt.
Did you
It
go?
gave me a reason to wear it. I've
Yeah,
had zero
he totally
reason
did.
to ever wear this shirt until right now. So
I'm proud of you. All right.
yeah, I didn't
Wardrobe
look
I'm
too
changes.
disgusted.
Aye.
Absolutely disgusted.
Wardrobe changes for
Well
the
played,
pop.
sir. Well played.
I'll 100% take that. Well done. I don't even need to talk about this match anymore. We're gonna move on to the women's tag team championship match. We got Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan carrying the Knockouts tag team titles, going up against Jordan Grace and the debuting Rachel Ellering, her first ever pay-per-view match, Impact or otherwise. Something I know we're all excited about here, at least in Alberta. I was quite literally her first match ever for the Prairie Wrestling Alliance, and it is so cool to see her on a pay-per-view event. Goose, you're an Albertan. You're a professional wrestler. Talk to me about not only Rachel Ellering, but the tag team championship match tonight.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it just as much as you guys. I definitely, I'm pretty sure I've met both Rachel Ellering and Jordan Grace.
Yeah.
Jordan Grace did a CWE show that I did a little bit of commentary for once,
Cool.
and Rachel Ellering was on some RCW shows in Springbrook and stuff too. So I'm happy to see that they're getting the success that they are, for sure. And
Completely agree
I'm
with you.
completely unfamiliar with the other team. So
They have been absolutely killer. And I got to be honest with you, I wasn't very familiar with them up until about, a year ago? I always see everything in pandemic time. You know, you started watching so much like last March, April of last year. But it was absolutely fantastic the way they built these two, the way they teamed them together, and then eventually had them go on to win the Knockouts tag titles at the end of the tournament about 6 months ago. It's a cliche way to put it, man, but they've just got swagger. And as as the least cool person anybody knows, it sounds awkward for me to say that word, but like they've just got it. They've got an attitude about them. They play off of each other very, very, very well. And tonight, I don't see them losing the tag titles. I just don't. And when you're going up against teams like, you know, I know we give a lot of critiques for throwing teams together haphazardly for WWE or AEW sometimes. Impact, I don't think really does that all that often. And with something like this, where they talked often about Jazz bringing someone in to replace her as Jordan Grace's tag team partner, bringing in someone like Rachel Ellering is huge. I think she's going to come in and make an absolute statement. I hope they continue to team together for a bit, but selfishly, whichever one of them turns eventually, I need to see a Jordan Grace, Rachel Ellering feud down the line here. I think that's easier said than, or easier made, excuse me, if you give them a loss here tonight and continue on from there. So I'm calling Tasha Steelz and Kiera Hogan. Mr. J, I haven't given you the final word on things here in a bit. So Parrish, I'm going to hop to you, buddy.
I don't think you're going to bring in Rachel Ellering, Evers, whatever you want to call her, to be with just in that position, just to have her lose in the first match. I think we're going to see them, you know, come on top. I just don't understand the rationale, let's just say, to bring somebody in only to, you know, give them a loss, whether it's that even if you look at it, if Jordan Grace loses, then you look, I don't know, she can look like the weakest one in this match. She just isn't. And then if Rachel loses, I mean, why do I care about her moving forward at all? You just killed any steam she had moving in. So it just makes sense that this team wins. And I don't think you need to end this. I think a rematch is in order too. So that's kind of where I'm going. I'm very curious to see Rachel in this match, because again, she's someone who's, anytime she's got out of the starting gates, she's always stumbled and went back in some aspect, whether it was injuries or just bad booking, whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see where she goes from here on out, because I think this is an opportunity that she's probably the most hungry for.
Completely agree with you. Double J hopping in as well. Never seen Rachel wrestle. First experience. A lot of great matches out there. We'll start throwing some here in the comments, or just hop in my DMs when we're done the stream, because, you know, I admitted earlier, but I'll admit again, I certainly am not the greatest at multitasking. I have hit my limit as far as things I can multitask on here right now. So I might have to talk to you later on some Rachel Ellering, Rachel Evers matches, my friend. But Mighty Joe, we're going to move to you. Mr. J not only give us your thoughts on the Knockouts Tag Team Championship match, but we're then going to move on to the Violent by Design versus what I'm calling, and most people are calling, I suppose, the Team Impact match. So, Mighty Joe, on to you, and then Mr. J, on to a double dose of you, my friend.
For me, on this one, I got to go with you, Spencer. For me, it's Kier Hogan and Tasha Steelz. I think that's the way that they're going to go. I think on somebody's debut, I don't know about putting a championship right on somebody's debut. I think you have to make them kind of chase it a little bit. But I think it kind of depends on what they're going to do with her and Jordan Grace big term. Like if they want to push them as a tag team, I think you wait. But I think if they are going to do like a bit of a rivalry, I think it all depends on what they want to do with those two. Personally, I would rather see Rachel as a singles competitor as opposed to a tag team. I think that she would excel more in that, but I digress on that. Just for me, when it comes to tag team matches, I'm more inclined to always kind of pick the established tag teams. So for me, it's hard to bet against Hogan and Steelz.
Fair call, Mr. J. We're going to move on to you, but want to give a quick reminder to anybody who hopped in off of the stream so lovingly given by the glamour Mariah May. Give us a follow, give us a subscription. We're not only going to be talking Impact Rebellion right now, but myself and Mr. J are going to be back immediately following the show tonight. We are going to be reviewing. We are going to be recapping. We are going to be giving our thoughts. We are going to do whatever iteration of that phrase you would like to call it immediately following the closing bell. So if you want to be reminded of that, you want to get the notification when we do go live, feel free to give us, like I said, that follow, that subscription. You get a lot of great extras from us here on Love Wrestling. It ain't just Sunday brunch. It ain't just recaps. It's a lot of great stuff, not just from the group of us here, but from Mr. J specifically. Mr. J, I just talked you up, so give us some of those glorious, glorious thoughts out of that beautiful brain of yours.
Thank you, sir. First of all, I'd like to start off while I have the floor here. Follow me at Poetry of a Promo on Twitter and Instagram. Cheap plug, I know. But anyway, in this case, with this match, got to give it to the champions. Have to. There's too many factors. They've been on a really, really good run. I really like what's going on with them. I understand there is a new person coming in, but I don't know. It wouldn't make sense to let them lose it to somebody who's just walking in. Even if she's picked by Jazz. That's my stance on that. I could be wrong. I'd be happy if I was wrong. However, the next one, Violent by Design versus the TNA Impact, whatever you want to call it, original or whatever they're being referred to as. I have to go with Violent by Design because if they do actually decimate the Impact guys, like destroy them beyond all reason, that would be amazing. And they wouldn't. They would be the faction not to. Sorry, kids, if you're listening to this, they would be the faction not to fuck with, and it would be amazing. And that's what I want.
Pardon his French.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, that's the Montreal creeping out, folks. It happened.
Is it like a Survivor Series match, a 4-on-4 thing?
No, I just think it's a 4 or an 8-man tag.
Yeah, as far as I'm aware.
Yeah. Okay, and who exactly are the members of Violent by Design and Team Impact?
So we've got on the Team Impact, we've got Chris Sabin, Eddie Edwards, James Storm, and Willie Mack taking on Violent by Design, which consists of Eric Young, Cody Deaner, Joe Doring, and Rhino as of about a month ago. I think it was at the last pay-per-view event that Rhino ended up joining. So yeah, there you go. And a hell of a match. I'm super, super excited. And again, your confirmation, good. Well, and your bias comes in whenever you get the chance to interview people or talk with them. And getting to chat with Cody Deaner, I was watching him a lot before that. That's what inspires a guy to reach out. And then as soon as you chat with the guy, you sort of double down, start watching more. And he's had a lot of great runs, but run of his career is a phrase we've thrown around a lot in this podcast, but I think it's one that definitely applies to Cody Deaner. He has been fantastic. He is one of those individuals that I've always talked about as being unturnable, quote unquote. Like I used to talk about a Sami Zayn or a Bailey or individuals that are just such great baby faces. Watching him since turning, I'd argue he's almost a better heel, and that's nothing against his previous work. It's everything for his current work. So I'm hoping that this is another breakout performance on top of a number of breakout performances since the calendar turned to 2021. I've got Violent by Design. I've got Cody Diener running house, for lack of a better way to put it. Mighty Joe, I'll give you the floor.
Cool. For this one, I mean, we got Chris Sabin, we got Eddie Edwards, we got James Storm, we got Willie Mack, we got Eric Young, Cody Diener, Joe Doring, and Rhino in the same match. Yes, please. I really don't care who wins here. Everybody wins. Everybody wins watching this match. It's gonna be awesome. I mean, as somebody who watched a lot of early Impact, I mean, James Storm and Eric Young. I mean, always been a fan of those guys. I'm a fan of all these guys. I mean, you can't go wrong with this match.
Right.
This might actually overtake Trey and Sami Callihan as a match that I'm really going to dig. I mean, I just want all these guys to kill each other.
I concur.
Violently put, but I think given
They're all sus.
Well, given the faction name that we've got in here, Violent by Design, I think that overkill is the way we've got to go with it. RK Shuttleworth, thank you for the follow. It is thoroughly appreciated, friend. Hopefully you tune in a little later on tonight or in the future here. We do appreciate your support. Thank you once again for showing it. And if you guys want to continue to, again, feel free to give us a follow or a subscription right here on Love Wrestling CA, whether you're watching on Twitch, Facebook, or YouTube. You can choose to support us on any of those platforms, however you choose to, though. It is always appreciated. And thanks for throwing in the hello to another fellow individual from above the 49th parallel. It's great to see you. Parrish.
Is that Rich King?
I do not believe so. It is
okay.
RK Shuttleworth, and I've been proven wrong before, but I'm not going to assume names in here. If anybody wants to reveal identities, they can feel free, but also feel comfortable being the silent individual in there. Parrish, I've attempted to go to you a couple of times. Give us your final thoughts, and then as we close it out here on Sunday Brunch, let people know where they can follow you online, my friend.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask a question because I'm not the biggest Impact buff here. Has Willie Mack ever won the Impact title?
Not the Impact title, I don't believe.
Okay.
I think he won the X Division Championship about a year and a half ago.
The point I was going to make is you almost have a team of Team Impact that's almost comprised of all former heavyweight champions, which is absolutely stunning when you think about this match. But then you have a group like Violent by Design who have now just have the momentum that they're going to take over this company. I believe, I would believe it if Violent by Design went up against the Kenny Omegas, the Young Bucks, anybody who was coming in to from AEW, that would be a money matchup and a money.
It feels like it's their house.
Exactly. And this is like inmates run the asylum, and it's like almost that as a mantra, which I kind of dig. So with that being said, like Violent by Design should and needs to win this match because they are that force. They are what Undisputed Era meant to NXT. This is what Violent by Design means to Impact Wrestling with everything else going on. And I believe that they are going to go from a group that the fans may kind of be like, oh my God, you're too nuts that we don't like you, to probably the most popular group in whether months, years, but that's where they're going to go to. I think Rhino is getting just better. Like he's not somebody who he knows what his strengths are. He's not going to be the best one-on-one guy, but you put him in a group, that guy's killer. And then you just look at
people. There aren't a ton of people popping for Goldberg's spear anymore, but I can tell you, I'm still psyched every time Rhino hits Gore.
Oh man, Rhino's Gore is always better than Goldberg's spear.
Yep.
Hot take. I don't care what people say. And he's a better worker.
Anything is better than Goldberg's spear.
Yeah.
I've got a lot of time for Goldberg still presented in certain ways, but I got a lot more time for Rhino as far as Gore goes.
Sorry, here's a hardcore move. I've won some.
But I was always going to say, if there was one company that just understood Eric Young, it was always Impact. And I believe anytime Eric Young is in Impact, he just looks like a superstar. It's when he leaves, it's just not his house. He is, I like to call the Nick Foles of pro wrestling. Nick Foles should have been an Eagle all the time because he always did well there, never anywhere else. Eric Young, I think, is the guy. He's Mr. TNA. He's Mr. Impact to me. He is the face of Impact Wrestling in the last decade for me because he is kind of the heart and soul of what Impact represents. And I would love to see him once again become heavyweight champion. And this is a group where he's continuing to reinvent himself. I got all the time in the world for anything Eric Young does in Impact Wrestling.
Sounds great, my friend. It's something that I don't disagree with whatsoever. You and I usually disagree on stuff, but it's always fun to talk wrestling, debate wrestling, argue wrestling sometimes, but most importantly, always good to see you on the show, my friend. If people want to keep track of Chris Parrish, how can they do so?
Follow your local authority. I mean, no, wait, that's the wrong thing. Chris Parrish on the Instagram, at Chris Parrish on Twitter, at the Chris Parrish on the Twitch, and at lovewrestling.ca, where you can find myself, be whatever you don't want to see on Sunday Brunch and the POS show, where I emphasize the S in POS, not
Spencer. Aw, thank you. We're gonna move on from there. That was fairly ineloquent, so I'm gonna move to a guy who is far more eloquent than not just that statement was, but is perhaps the most eloquent of anybody that I know here. Mr. J, host of Poetry of a Promo. Let us know what you got in store in a little bit here. Not even in a little bit. Less than 24 hours time for the fans at home, and then where they can find you.
Well, that, by the way, the Venmo payment is on its way to you, Spencer, for that lovely introduction. So, what do I have going on this week? Wouldn't you like to know? Tomorrow, Monday, it's going to be Kenny Omega, your Impact champion. Sorry, spoilers, I don't care. There is, let me give you a reason to listen to this show. There is Street Fighter references. I'm in it, and that should be enough. You can.
I'll be there. I'll be there because you'll be in it.
Yeah, I'll be there. One more thing here, folks. Follow me on Instagram and on Twitter at Poetry of a Promo. That's it. That's all.
Suggested as well. Goose, I'll bring up the link for your T-shirt. So start plugging away, my friend.
Oh, nice.
Honk, honk, honk.
Yeah, my T-shirts are available at Pro Wrestling Tees. Definitely want to pitch the idea if we're going to be doing like matching T-shirts here. You guys should all get some Canadian Goose T-shirts so we can do that up like properly. Anyway, Canadian Goose. Now you're covering my Twitter handle, which is cool. It's Canadian Goose KS on Twitter. the.canadian.goose on the Instagram. And Kyle Shaw on Facebook. I've got Monday Night Shaw. It's not going to be this week is kind of a down week, so it'll be next week. I'm going to be interviewing the promoter of RCW Wrestling, Steven Styles. He drops a bombshell about the big event happening in Radway at the end of May. So look forward to that. Of course, we're also going to be having Josh Alexander, hopefully who will win the X Division Championship and come to RCW as the X Division Champion. That'd be pretty cool.
Heck yes, my friend.
Yeah.
Heck yes, I completely agree with you. However, anything that RCW is doing over the last little bit, anything that you guys can do to support any of your local independent professional wrestling promotions, I would highly encourage you guys to do, whether it's tuning into interviews, promoting their upcoming stuff, buying a T-shirt, or anything in between.
So we're on
for
to
your
the
indies
thing, right, guys?
Mighty Joe, I'm moving on to you.
Well, when I am not on the Blowing Off stream or here on the Sunday Brunch, I am, of course, on Turnbuckle Talk every Mondays. For now, we've actually moved away from the afternoon time slot to prime time on Monday evening, so make sure and check that out. And then coming up this Thursday on Turnbuckle Rewind, we have the favorite match of our very own Spencer Love, going back to 2005 in Ring of Honor, Kenta Kobashi versus Samoa Joe. You guys need to not only watch along with it, you just need to watch that match. If you haven't, what is wrong with you? And
I don't
disagree
with you there at all. Oh man, what a match!
And then when I'm not doing all that, of course, you can find me at wow, I didn't get that right. At TB Talk Pod on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Thank you very much.
Any time at all, my friend. Now, in about a minute here, I'm going to try and keep this short because we're over our match times, but who cares? We had a blast this morning. We're going to be rating our friend Tom Colohue We're going to do that, like I said, in about a minute's time. As I mentioned, however, we want to make sure we're leaving you guys with a little taste of what you can expect this week out of Love Wrestling, and we got a graphic to do it. So, coming up this week on Love Wrestling, brought to you by RK Athletics. We've got the aforementioned Kenny Omega Poetry of a Promo and a Reacts coming up tomorrow. I chat with Mags on Tuesday, another content creator and one of the best out there just prior to Power Out. Wednesday, Mariah May joins me. We've got the War Report and Turnbuckle Rewind on Thursday morning. Thursday night, we've got Quizplex and NFL Draft coverage. Love Wrestling is going to be reacting to SmackDown on Friday. Josh is back on Saturday. And, of course, we're back on Sunday with another brunch. We'll see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. That is 11 a.m. Mountain, 1 p.m. Eastern. If you guys want to continue to support Love Wrestling following this stream, head to ratethispodcast.com/lovewrestlingca. Not only does that help us out in the all-important Apple algorithm, but if you guys choose to rate the podcast this month, Podchaser is going to be donating 25 cents per review to Meals on Wheels. They're doing great work in a ton of communities, so be sure to support. If you're going to support at any time through that particular platform, now is a great month to do it, though we appreciate it anytime you guys choose to do it. If you guys also want to get a jump on the brand new collaboration shirts we've got coming out with Sea of Dead, based out of Calgary, Alberta, Canada, head to lovewrestling.ca/shop. Not only can you get your hands on a shirt, we've got masks, we've got these Sunday brunch mugs that you guys can see in a lot of our hands right now. We've got masks, we've got stickers, and we've got a whole lot more coming your way sooner rather than later. And if you want to show us some support on twitch.tv/lovewrestlingca, it would really, really help us out, not only to continue to bring you great guests and great contributors, but put some money back in their jeans. Everybody's working hard in content creation. And if we can reward the people like Jay, like Joe, like Mr. Canadian Goose in the middle there, honk, 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 and of course, Chris Parrish, let's pay some bills. Let's do it because of the great work that they're doing. And if you guys choose to support by subscribing, by following, or whatever else it is thoroughly appreciated. Let's take one last run through the comments. A big thank you to you as well, JJ. A brunch is always a good time, and especially when we've got people like you in the comments. Brian, thank you, my friend, as well, for hopping in. And a big 5 stars, nothing less for the great people here of Love Wrestling. A big 5 stars for you as well, JJ. It's cliche to say, but this wouldn't be nowhere near as fun if we didn't have great people in the comments like yourself, like Brian, like Everything Pro Wrestling, like the Maniacs, like RK Shuttleworth, like everybody in between. Thank you guys once again. I am starting the raid, so in about 10 seconds here, you guys are going to see a button to join me on that if you're watching on Twitch. If you guys are watching on YouTube, if you're watching on Facebook, you guys are going to hear the Sunday brunch music. We'll see you guys over on Tom Colhugh's stream. For everybody else, I'm Spencer Love. We'll see you guys soon.